The will to power. So we need to understand the concept of the will to power, right? So when we hear the word power, right, the word power is oftenly perceived as authority, control, but in reality, power is consciousness, right? Omnipotent power is consciousness. So when we look at ourselves and we say the will to power, we're actually willing more of ourselves because we are consciousness in essence, right? We all have a brain. Within the brain, we have a mind, and within the mind is formulated from universal matter, and universal matter is consciousness, right? So when we're willing power, it means to will consciousness, and it's not willing superiority or authority and then projecting that onto others. No, it's demonstrating power over yourself, self-restraint, self-control, self-denial, right? When we have these futile suggestions from our mind suggesting us to put a thought into action, which in essence is a proverbial thought. It's a detriment to your own being. It's an unintelligent thought. It's a low quality, poor thought. It's gonna deprive you instead of advise you on the path of life. Then you're willing, when you correspond to that thought and you put it into action, you're willing your own detriment. You're willing you're passively choosing to destroy yourself rather than create. We have to understand that humans operate from underlying motives. So when you have the impulse to do something, that is coming from within your mind, and that impulse is somehow connected to your consciousness. So when we look at someone who's very, very promiscuous, when we look at someone who's very sexual in nature, and then we look at someone who's very pure, squeaky clean, then the promiscuous individual will have these tendencies to correspond and put into action volatile actions to pleasure themselves, and the Puritan, the person who's pure in nature, would reject that if they even got it, even if they had the thought. But my point was to say all that was that your mind is a garden, and if what you feed, that is what's going to manifest out of your mind. So whatever's in your mind, whatever seed you plant, that's going to manifest out of it, and your conscious mind can either comply or reject with that. And the more you comply and the more you reject is the state you're feeding. So if you reject bad thoughts and you comply with good thoughts, then you're naturally going to correspond to the outcome of having good thoughts. And so for the polarity of that, so you need to be willing power. You need to be ensuring that you have authority, self-restraint, self-control. You need to be maximizing excellence in every endeavor. So you need to ensure that you are gaining power, and you need to ensure that you are you're empowering yourself. You're not exercising authority. You're not willing authority and control over others. No, you're exercising power within you. You're exercising your own mind. You're exercising the shit that's going to get you somewhere in life. So when we look at the definition of power, power is not what powerless. Power is not what powerless people deem it to be. The reason they think that's the definition of power is because they know they're under the influence of that, right? That's a different form of power, and that's not the definition of, that's not what defines power. That's external influence, if anything. But you need to be a master of your mind, right? So when we look at mastermind, you need to become a mastermind, and you do that by willing power and by actually willing it. So people say they want to get better and they want to do this, but they don't really want to do it because there's someone out there that's doing it more. And, you know, to the one who's doing less, you got some work to do. But you should be willing power. You should be maximizing every energy expenditure. You should be wanting to increase your power level. When we look at Dragon Ball Z and they have the scanners and they see your power level, you know, if you're below 500, then you're a low level piece of shit. If you're above 10,000, then you're gradually going to continue that expansion. And since from self-experience, human consciousness, the intelligence compounds over time, your intellect, your comprehension compounds over time, you naturally grow like a plant. As long as you continue to water your seeds, you'll just naturally just find. Like, I had the thought, like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever played Call of Duty, but like when you would play Call of Duty, you would get a gun from the chest, and the gun would either be a common, it would be a rare, it would be an ultra rare, and then it would be like gray, green, purple. Same thing with Pokemons. And that's how we have to look at life. Like our intellect, our knowledge, yeah, there's a rare knowledge, there's super rare knowledge, there's common knowledge, and there's same thing with, and it's just, there's things that people don't know that hinders them from doing what they could do to correspond to a certain outcome. So when we look at humans, they're collecting information, and they're collecting information that has a detriment to them. Information, you're taking inform, you're informating, and then ation, we already broke that down. That's action, that's the suffix for action. So inform, action. So we're getting information and then we're taking inform action, right? Because we're informed to take an action. So there's people that have ultra rare supersonic levels of information. They're taking information, inform action in ways that we can't even comprehend because we lack what they have. So we need to level up as fast as possible. And this shit isn't a fucking game. Like, we need to be maxing out our energy capacities. We need to be getting better at life daily. We need to be growing exponentially. And we need to be the ones acquiring that super rare knowledge. And you do that by experience. You do that by reading. You do that by seeking knowledge. You do that by extracting value from other personas. You do that by observing. You just do shit and then you find shit out. Like, you ever heard the term fuck around and find out? It's like, yeah, fuck around and find out. But don't fuck around and find out. Just fuck around and find out. Like, you know, you see how you can perceive in different ways? So try to use your fucking brain to do that shit. Because I swear, it's like you have to look at your mind like a root. So your mind is a seed, right? And this is how I look at it. Your mind is a seed, and from that seed, there's protruding neural pathways, right? And that's the roots to your seed. So when you look at your mind, you have all these roots connected to it, and the neural pathway that you feed and connect with emotion and tie yourself to is what's going to continue to grow. And the ones that the roots that have a detriment to you, you cut those off and you uproot them from your mind, right? And you do that through meditation. That's a whole different topic. But these pathways, you need to be maxing out the pathways that allow you to max out. So let's say I have a pathway that aligns me to going extra hard in the gym, doing extra time at work, embodying a state that just makes me want to do the most, be the most, and succeed at the most. You want to feed that pathway, so when your seed begins to sprout out because you implanted that neural pathway, now you can have a more concise, and you can have a more fruitful fruit, a juicier fruit to eat from, because your neural pathway is absorbing more nutrients from the dirt. And remember, your mind is also the dirt. So you have to have fertile soil to plant a certain seed. You can't plant an ultra rare seed in a common soil that's unfertile. You have to have ultra rare seeds, and you have to have ultra rare dirt and seeds. You just have to have everything ultra rare, bro. You need to have the highest quality, highest value of everything. And like, now you have to watch out for the snakes. So like, you have to like, so now we have the common, now we have the ultra common or the ultra rare. So we got gray, green, purple, and gold. Now we have to watch out for the snakes. So under all that, we have now a category of shit you don't want to get that's going to debilitate and provide your own detriment, right? So now we have common, rare, ultra rare, and gold. And before we even look, when we look at what's going to happen before common, we have snakes, right? So you have a thought, you grab that thought, and then poof, a snake pops up because you grabbed the wrong thought. You put the wrong idea into a realization, and now you're suffering from your own action because you were under the influence of some type of emotion, energy, and motion, that some static energy in your brain, that you were too low level. You didn't have a neural pathway connected to your seed. Your mind didn't have a neural pathway to connect itself to, because you haven't been practicing power. You haven't been willing power. You haven't been practicing self-control, self-restraint. You haven't been practicing being better within your life. So now you are lacking fertile soil to connect your neural pathway, your root, to a certain outcome, which that neural pathway will bring you every time if you can lean into it by exercising it enough through your will to power. And that's your will to power is going to be you choosing the right choice for the best outcome, even when it's hardest, even when it feels like it's the hardest thing to do. And the more harder it feels, the more you should do it, because the harder it feels, the easier it'll get, because the task doesn't get easier, you get stronger. So you need to look at life in a creative way. You need to start using your imagination, your internal creativity, and you need to start being intelligent, or at least, the very least, creative about how you're going to operate and function throughout life. Because we have people that are so fucking stupid that they're just debilitating, annihilating, and disrespecting the art of God, their self, right? So y'all have a good one. The will to power, take it with you. Click the link in the description to my Patreon and go acquire more information, inform action to correspond to certain outcomes that you need in life to be the best version of yourself.